once too often. Right. Well, don't say I haven't warned you. I've laid it on the line to you time and time again. Right. Well, this is it. I'm going to give you a damn good thrashing.
Hello, this is Richard Coughlin, 616, how are you? Wasn't planning on doing a video tonight, I've got some things I've been working on for later in the week, but I had to do this video now. This is going to be somewhat of a unscripted, and it's unscripted because all the information I'm about to give you is stuff I've already given you before. But I think it's always worth repeating for those who are short of memory or those who are new to the game. You see, earlier on, Pat Condell, my buddy, my good old friend, how you doing, Patrick? Pat Condell made a wonderful, wonderful video called In Suspicion We Trust, where he basically, essentially, bashes the whole gist of it. I agree with the video, I want to make that clear. I agree with the sentiments in the video. The whole premise and point of the video, though, is bashing and berating the American religious far right. Now, those of you who've watched my videos for a while will be sitting there going, Pat Condell is now bashing the religious far right. Now, what's unusual about that? Some of you might be asking. Well, several things. Number one, I would like to know, Pat, where the fuck you are supposed to stand politically. You always used to say that you used to be a liberal lefty, but then you realised you didn't want to be a liberal lefty anymore because things like freedom and justice and fairness and equality were were no longer part of the liberal agenda. So what did you become then? You've also said in a previous video, I think it was your video, Free Speech in Europe, you said that the left is now the new far right. So if the left is now the new far right, and you're bashing the religious far right, are you insinuating that the religious far right are liberals? This is when your rhetoric, you sort of trip over yourself with your rhetoric, Pat. But I want to just remind people of some things that have been going on, because whilst Pat might like to sit there and do the popular thing of bashing the religious far right, one thing he has never done is he's never accounted for or justified his constant support of the religious far right for the last fucking 2 years. What am I talking about? Well, here's a few examples. Number one, groups and organisations like Stop the Islamisation of America, who also have a side group here in Europe, who Stop the Islamisation of Europe. This is an organisation that is run in part by a woman called Pamela Geller. Pamela Geller is a woman who I've recently made lots of videos about, who runs the website Atlas Shrugged. It's also in part, it's also got strong connections with a guy called Robert Spencer. He is the far-right Catholic bigot who runs Jihad Watch. Robert Spencer, incidentally, regularly appears on the 700 Club show with Pat, which is run by Pat Robertson. Pat Robertson, incidentally, runs an organisation called the ACLJ, which is a sexist, homophobic, anti-science organisation, which Pat Condell supported when he linked a petition on his channel from the ACLJ trying to get the government to come in and ban the Ground Zero mosque being built. While we're on that subject, Pat, the Ground Zero mosque, a year ago, you made a video a year ago called No Mosque at Ground Zero. In it you stated the following: they plan to open it next year on September the 11th, the 10th anniversary of the atrocity. Is that tasteless enough for you? Well, I'm assuming it's opening this weekend, is it, Pat? Seeing as this weekend is the 10th year. Maybe, Pat, it's not opening because you got that information from Pamela Geller's website, where 99% of all the myths about the Ground Zero mosque were actually came from, because you spouted that rhetoric and you linked her channels on your website. You also, and I keep banging on about this, you have covertly been supporting the EDL by favouriting videos by Tommy Robinson, where he claims he was stitched up by the police, offering no evidence for this. You've also linked articles by propaganda, right-wing propaganda organisations, like what they call Right Side News in Denmark, where they write these bullshit fantasy stories about the EDL, a completely peaceful organisation who have never done anything wrong. They all hand out flowers and give marshmallows to children. Oh, and while we're at it, let's not forget the fact that you linked in one of your videos to a petition to pass a bill called the Jihad Prevention Act, which would actually prevent people from voicing their opinion. A man who claims to love freedom of speech, yet he's too scared to let Muslims voice their opinion on a subject like Sharia law. That was a bill put forward by Tom Tancredo. He was the guy who George Bush didn't want in his administration because he was too mental. And then, of course, there's the book you pimped out, right? The book called Muslim Mafia, written by two guys from the Bush administration, one who claims he found WMDs by Saddam Hussein, and that book, the only place you could buy that book was on WorldNet Daily, a place that sells books like by Ray Comfort and creationist propaganda and 2012 conspiracy theories and loads of other conspiracy tarded bumps like fucking reptilians and shit. You cannot, Pat, sit there and bash the religious right with a straight face while sitting there laying in bed with them, right? If you're going to lay in bed with them, fuck them facing forward, okay? Don't sit there and turn around and just stick one in them and then run away. Well, that's what you do. You get in bed with the enemy, then turn around and spit in their face and nick their fucking wallet, right? And it's fucking pathetic. Let's not also forget people like Wild Bill for America. Do you know how I found Wild Bill for America? You favourited one of his fucking videos. These are the people you have chosen to align yourselves with, and you've never once offered justification for it. And the second you feel like, the second there's no Muslims doing anything and there's no one else to bash, you turn around and spin it right back on them. Right? Well, tough shit, Pat. You can't have it both fucking ways. And the sad part is of this, not the saddest part is, all your fucking fans will sit there and go, yeah, Pat, these religious people are so retarded. I believe everything these fucking wankers. Oh, they're all in alliance and convenience with each other. Yeah, the one who's in an alliance of convenience here with the extremists is you, mate. Richard the Dick Coughlin, 616. Good night, mate. God bless.